there is a strange irony we carry quietly in the folds of human history. We've hurled machines beyond the clouds, walked on the pale surface of the moon, sent signals into the star-dusted silence of the cosmos, and yet, below our feet, right here on the very planet we call home, an entire world remains untouched, unseen, and largely unknown. The deep sea, a realm darker than night, colder than any mountain peak, more alien than the galaxies above. How curious it is that humanity has chosen to lift its gaze to the heavens before peering fully into its own depths. Perhaps it feels safer to dream of stars than to descend into blackness. Perhaps the ocean mirrors something we are not yet ready to face: mystery, pressure, silence. But tonight, gently, without hurry, we will enter those waters together, not to conquer them, not to measure or control them, but to wander softly, as if holding a lantern at the edge of a vast cathedral of salt and shadow. You do not need to swim. You only need to listen, to let each word be a slow tide, carrying you toward sleep, and toward a deeper understanding of why the oceans remain Earth's quietest secret. Before we begin, take a moment to settle in. Let your body soften. Let your breath slow. This is your time. If you find comfort here, I invite you to gently like this video, subscribe for more stories like this one, and share it with someone who might also need peace tonight. You are welcome to leave a comment, to perhaps tell us where in the world you are listening from. It reminds us that though the seas divide continents, we are all connected by the same waters. Now, close your eyes. Let us drift downward. Together, let's begin to talk about we've explored space, but not the deep sea. Why? Chapter 1: The Edge of the Abyss. The ocean begins as something familiar. Gentle waves press against the shore, folding and unfolding like a great breathing lung. The sunlight scatters upon the surface, glimmering in shards of silver, as if the sea itself were a mirror catching the day. Here, the water is warm, shallow, and filled with life we recognize. Fish flicker between coral branches. Seaweed sways like strands of hair in a gentle current. Seagulls wheel above their cries, sharp against the rolling hush of surf. But beneath this surface, beauty lies a truth too, often overlooked. The sea is not just water. It is depth, it is descent. For though the ocean begins in the sunlit shallows, its story stretches downward, deeper and deeper, into shadow and silence, until it touches realms almost no human has ever seen. Scientists call this place the deep sea, but those words are small for such immensity. Imagine a canyon without end, a cathedral without walls, an endless night hidden just beneath the glowing skin of the world. That is what waits below the gentle waves. We begin our journey at what oceanographers call the epipelagic zone, the surface layer where light still reigns. Sunlight penetrates these first 200 meters of ocean, painting the water in dazzling shades of blue. It is here that most marine life we know exists. Coral reefs bloom in this zone, and colorful fish dazzle the eye. But this is just the edge, a thin skin stretched over an abyss. As you stand upon the shore, listening to the surf, or drift in a boat, watching ripples scatter across the surface, it is easy to imagine the sea as shallow. But that is an illusion. Beneath you lies not just depth, but dimension, as though the earth holds another world within itself. To step from sunlight into this downward world is to feel the first pull of mystery, and so, gently, we imagine descending. Close your eyes. Picture yourself floating just beneath the waves, where sunlight dances in beams through shifting water. Around you, the sea is alive with glimmers. Schools of fish flash in synchronized arcs, their bodies silvering with the light. Tiny plankton drift like dust motes in a vast cathedral. The surface above bends and ripples with the movement of waves, scattering the sunlight into a mosaic of brightness. Here, the water still feels like home. You can still hear the muffled echoes of the world above, the distant cry of a gull, the faint hum of a boat engine, the rhythmic push and pull of waves. Meeting the shore, but already the deeper world begins to beckon. For even in this zone, where light still rules, the blue deepens as you look downward. It is the beginning of descent. Slowly, you drift down past the beams of sunlight. The colors begin to shift. Reds disappear first, swallowed by water. At just a few meters below, a red fish already appears, gray, its fire quenched by the sea. Oranges fade next, then yellows, until only the greens and blues remain. The ocean, in its own quiet way, strips the world of color as you move deeper, folding you into a more muted palette. This is no accident of beauty, it is physics. Water absorbs light greedily, hungrily. The deeper you go, the more the sea drinks the sun. By 100 meters, the glow above has dimmed into a twilight haze. The surface feels far away now, a wavering ceiling of blue light. Shadows begin to stretch longer. Sound, too, changes. The surface noises fade, replaced by the low, constant hum of moving water, like the breath of the ocean itself. And then, at 200 meters, you arrive at what oceanographers call the mesopelagic zone, the twilight zone. The edge of the abyss. Here, sunlight cannot truly penetrate. It becomes a dim glow, fading quickly into shadow. Below this point, no sunlight ever reaches. Everything beneath is eternal night. Pause here. Float in this strange half-world. Above, there is still a memory of light. Below, there is only darkness. This is the true threshold, the line where human understanding begins to falter. And this is why, for so long, we have looked to the stars before we dared to look here. Space, though distant, offered light. We could gaze upward with telescopes, see stars shimmering millions of light years away, and imagine pathways to them. But the sea below is hidden. No telescope can peer through the layers of salt water. No, I can see beyond a few 100 meters. The ocean conceals itself in silence. And so, while we dreamed upward, we forgot to dream downward. But let us not rush. Let us linger at this threshold. This twilight zone is not empty. Though dim, it is alive with delicate, shimmering beings that make their own light. Lanternfish, with glowing organs along their bodies, drift in enormous schools, forming living rivers of silver fire. Tiny plankton spark with bioluminescence when disturbed, leaving trails like falling stars. Squid, with shimmering bodies, pulse through the dimness, flashing signals of light to one another. Bioluminescence is the magic of this realm. While sunlight fades, life itself learns to create its own stars. Chemical reactions within bodies ignite faint glows, greens, blues, and sometimes reds. These lights serve many purposes: to lure prey, to confuse predators, to attract mates, or to camouflage against the faint light from above. Imagine drifting in such a place where every movement could spark a tiny constellation, where the ocean itself becomes a night sky turned inward. And yet, for all its wonder, this zone is the least understood. Few humans have descended here. Fewer still have lingered. Machines are fragile in these depths. Pressure builds relentlessly, each 10 meters adding another atmosphere of weight. At 200 meters, your body would already feel the beginnings of strain. At 1,000, the pressure is a crushing 90 times greater than at the surface, enough to implode most machines not built for such extremes. And so, standing at the edge of the abyss, we glimpse the first truth of why the deep sea remains unexplored. It is not only mystery that stops us, but physics. Light cannot reach. Pressure builds like an invisible wall. And so we, fragile surface dwellers, remain hesitant at the threshold, unwilling to step further. But tonight, in imagination, we are not bound by metal or air. We may drift downward, gently, without fear. We may follow the path into deeper night. Close your eyes again. Picture the last beams of sunlight dissolving above you. The surface has become faint, a trembling ceiling of blue. Around you, the twilight glimmers with living sparks, a slow snowfall of light. Lanternfish we've passed, their scales flashing. A jelly drifts, its bell glowing softly with inner fire. And below, the darkness waits, endless and vast. You breathe, slowly, unhurried. With each breath, you descend further. Pressure increases, but here, in this story, it does not crush you. It simply wraps around you, like a blanket pressing softly, holding you still. Downward you drift, downward toward the abyss, and as you do, you realize this descent is not only into water, it is into yourself, for the sea, in its quiet, mirrors the mind. The surface is where thoughts chatter, where waves break and scatter. But beneath lies a twilight zone, where half-formed dreams drift, where light fades but does not vanish. And deeper still lies the unconscious, the true abyss, the place untouched by daily thought. To explore the deep sea is also to explore the deep self. Perhaps that, too, is why we fear to descend. The chapter pauses here, suspended between light and dark, at the edge of the abyss, at the place where human eyes falter, but imagination continues. We will descend further soon, but for now, let us linger, let us drift, let us surrender to the gentle pull of the ocean and the slow, rhythmic tide of sleep. Chapter 2: Pressure and Silence. The deeper we go, the quieter the ocean becomes. At first, there are still echoes of the surface, the muted roll of waves, the distant call of gulls carried faintly through the water, the occasional crackle of shrimp or fish grazing upon coral. But as we leave the twilight behind, sinking beyond 200 meters, the world begins to fall silent. Sound no longer travels as chatter. It becomes vibration, a low and steady hum, as though the ocean itself breathes in a deeper rhythm. This is the mesopelagic fading into the bathypelagic, the midnight zone. Here, sunlight dies completely. Not a single ray from the surface makes it down to this endless depth. There is only blackness, vast and eternal, and there is pressure. It is here that the water's weight begins to speak in a voice of force, one that humans rarely encounter in their daily lives. At the surface, we live under one atmosphere of pressure, the weight of air pressing down on us. It is invisible, constant, something we never notice. But in the ocean, every 10 meters adds another atmosphere. By 100 meters, 10 atmospheres press against you. At 1,000, 100 atmospheres. At 3,300 atmospheres, the equivalent of an elephant standing on every square inch of your body. Imagine it, pressure not as weight upon the shoulders, but as a crushing embrace upon every cell, every atom of your being. It is a force so great that unprotected humans could never survive it. Submarines crack under its grip. Machines implode. Yet life, delicate, fragile, unlikely life, has learned not only to survive, but to thrive in this realm. It seems almost impossible, and yet, the deep sea is proof of the resilience of biology. Creatures of this depth live under pressures that would destroy almost anything else. Their bodies are not built of rigid skeletons, but soft, yielding tissues that do not resist the crushing weight, but flow with it. Where we see destruction, they see balance. Their cells carry proteins specially designed to resist the squeeze, preventing collapse. Some fish in these depths replace gas-filled swim bladders with oil or fat, for gas would be crushed flat in such weight. The result is strange, ghostly creatures, translucent, gelatinous, slow-moving, but perfectly adapted to the endless pressure. And what is silence but another kind of pressure? In our world above, silence is rare. Cities hum with electricity, voices fill the air, even the countryside whispers with wind and insects. We are surrounded by sound, saturated by it. But in the deep, silence is complete. No wind, no waves, no song of birds, only the occasional groan of tectonic plates shifting far below, or the faint pop of gases escaping the seafloor. This silence is not emptiness, it is presence. It presses upon the mind as surely as water presses upon the body. To sit in it, even in imagination, is to feel the edges of yourself soften, as though you, too, are being reshaped. Silence is heavy. Silence is vast. Perhaps this is another reason we fear the deep, not only for its physical weight, but for the psychic stillness it demands. Humans are not always ready to face silence, for in silence, thoughts rise, memories echo, truths long buried return to the surface of the mind. And yet, for those who surrender, silence becomes something else, peace. Let us linger here in this black water. Imagine yourself drifting deeper still, wrapped on all sides by a pressure so immense it should terrify, and yet here it feels like comfort, a steady hand holding you, cradling you in the dark. There is no danger here. There is no rush. Only the long, slow exhale of the earth itself. Biologists who studied these regions have discovered that many creatures here have adapted not only to the crushing pressure, but to the stillness of the environment. With no sunlight to guide them, many rely on vibrations in the water. Some fish have exquisitely sensitive lateral lines, long rows of nerve endings along their bodies that can feel the faintest ripple. Others communicate through faint clicks and pulses, sound used sparingly, because in silence even the smallest vibration carries far. To drift here is to enter a cathedral, where every whisper echoes, and still deeper we go, at 1,000 meters. The pressure is 100 atmospheres. Above you, an entire kilometer of water presses downward. The surface world is now as unreachable as the stars. No sunlight, no warmth, only blackness and the distant glow of life. Here dwelled the creatures. Most strange, giant squids with eyes the size of dinner plates, adapted to catch even the faintest glimmer of bioluminescence. Deep-sea dragonfish with jaws lined in translucent fangs. Gulper eels with mouths that open wide enough to swallow prey larger than themselves. These beings live at the limits of what seems possible. They drift slowly, conserving energy for food is scarce in this vast desert of water. Each carries its own lanterns, lights born from within, signaling, luring, surviving. It is easy, at first, to see them as monstrous. They appear alien, unsettling, as though born of nightmares. But look more closely, and they are simply beautiful in another language. Their strangeness is not horror, but poetry written in the script of survival. Each curve of their body, each glow of their organs is a testament to adaptation, a hymn to resilience. And here is a truth worth whispering. The creatures of the deep are not terrifying. They are delicate, fragile. Many would collapse and die if brought to the surface. Unable to withstand the absence of pressure, we fear them because we cannot live as they do. Yet they are no monsters, only neighbors, in a part of the earth we have not learned to enter. Pressure and silence. Two forces that shape the abyss. Two reasons the deep remains unexplored. Our machines break under the weight. Our minds falter under the stillness. We choose instead to look upward to the stars, where light reassures us and silence seems distant. But the truth is this: the deep is closer than space. It lies beneath every boat, every shoreline, every tide. It waits, immense and untouched. Imagine, now, your own breath. Inhale slowly. Feel the weight of air fill your lungs. Exhale gently. Feel the silence settle. Each breath is like the tide, in, out, slow, unhurried. Pressure around you, silence. Within you, the ocean is not only out there, it is here, in your body. Your blood carries salt like the sea. Your cells drift in liquid. You are a small ocean walking upon land. And so the silence of the abyss is not foreign. It is remembered, ancient. Something deep within you recognizes it and relaxes. The deeper we drift, the more this recognition grows. At 2,000 meters, 3,000, the silence deepens further. Pressure becomes unimaginable, yet still. Creatures live. Siphonophores, long as city buses, shimmering chains of tiny bodies working together as one. Deep-sea shrimp, glowing red in a world where red light does not exist, making them invisible. Strange fishes whose skin reflects almost no light at all, rendering them darker than the water around them. Everywhere, life has found a way. Everywhere, silence holds its breath. And here, in this stillness, you begin to feel something shift within yourself. For what is pressure but a reminder of gravity? What is silence but a reminder of rest? The abyss asks nothing of you except surrender, to drift, to let go. Perhaps that is its greatest lesson. That strength is not always resistance. Sometimes strength is the ability to yield, to soften under weight, to breathe under silence. So we linger here, suspended in blackness. No light above, no ground below. Only the endless ocean pressing softly from every side, and the endless quiet filling every thought. The abyss does not rush. It has waited for billions of years. It will wait longer still. You, small and finite, are free to drift for a while, safe in its embrace. Let your thoughts dissolve, one by one, as if they are colors fading in water. Red, gone. Orange, gone. Yellow, gone. All fading until only the cool, calm blue remains. And then, even that fades, leaving only blackness, soft, infinite, and strangely kind. Here at last, you understand why silence is not absence, but presence. Why pressure is not cruelty, but balance. And why, perhaps, humanity has not yet truly explored this world. For to descend here is not only to explore the ocean, but to face what lies within ourselves. The weight we carry, the quiet we avoid, the darkness we fear. And yet, if we listen closely, the abyss is not frightening. It is gentle. It teaches. us how to be still. And so chapter 2 drifts to its close, not with revelation, but with rest. Pressure holds you. Silence soothes you. You float in the dark, steady and calm, on the threshold of sleep. Chapter 3 Creatures of the Black Darkness. Not the kind you know from a quiet room at night. Not the gentle dark of closing your eyes beneath a blanket, but something heavier, thicker, more eternal. The kind of dark where light itself is a stranger. The kind of dark that has existed for billions of years without interruption. Here, in the midnight zone, from 1,000 to 4,000 meters below the surface, there is no dawn, no dusk, no memory of the sun. It is an empire of blackness, stretching across 70% of the Earth's surface. Imagine a landmass larger than all continents combined, yet hidden beneath the waves, unseen. A world so vast, it makes mountains and deserts seem like small details on the surface of a far greater canvas. And yet, it is not empty. The black is alive. Life, astonishing and improbable, blooms even here, in the silence, under the weight of thousands of atmospheres. It has evolved forms so strange, so unfamiliar, that the first humans who glimpsed them thought they had discovered monsters. But monsters they are not. They are survivors. They are works of art sculpted by pressure and time. They are fragments of living poetry written in the ink of the abyss. Close your eyes and drift. Picture yourself suspended in this blackness. There is no up or down, no horizon, no landmark. The only movement is the slow rain of marine snow, the name given to the endless drift of organic matter. Tiny particles of dead plankton, waste, fragments of life falling from the surface above. It drifts like snowflakes in perpetual night, soft and delicate, the only food for those who live below. Without it, there would be nothing. The creatures of the deep feed on snowfall, a quiet miracle falling through the water endlessly, and then, through the black, a glimmer, bioluminescence, a spark of blue, then another, then many. It is as though the stars have fallen into the ocean, and now shine from within its creatures. Here, light is no longer borrowed from the sun. Here, life has become its own lantern. Lanternfish drift in vast schools, glowing faintly along their sides, forming rivers of silver-blue light that weave through the blackness like constellations in motion. Their numbers are so immense that lanternfish alone may make up more biomass than any other vertebrate species on Earth. They rise at night toward the surface and descend by day. Their shimmering migration, the largest animal movement on the planet, happening invisibly every single day. Nearby, a comb jelly drifts, its transparent body trailing lines of rainbow fire. Unlike bioluminescence, which is chemical, the jelly's light is refracted from tiny beating hairs, scattering it into colors like oil on water. It looks like a living chandelier, fragile and mesmerizing, pulsing softly through the void. Then, a dragonfish, its body slender, dark, its jaws lined with translucent fangs like needles of glass. From its chin dangles a lure, a glowing filament that beckons prey close. It opens its mouth and reveals teeth that are invisible in light but glisten faintly under their own glow, designed to swallow without warning. Terrifying, perhaps, but also exquisite. The dragonfish is a predator shaped not by cruelty but by necessity. Every adaptation, a line of survival written into its form, and then, from far below, a shadow. At first it is indistinguishable, just a darker shape within the black. But as it approaches, you see the vast, coiling arms, a giant squid, elusive and legendary. Its eyes are immense, the largest of any creature on Earth, designed to capture the faintest glimmer in endless night. Few humans have ever seen such beings alive. For centuries, they were myths, whispered as krokens by sailors who feared the sea. Only in recent decades have we glimpsed them truly, and even then, only rarely. But here, in imagination, we watch it drift, immense and graceful, arms undulating like ribbons, searching for prey in the starless void. How strange it is that we once imagined such creatures as terrors. But when you watch them here, silently pulsing through the water, they do not feel monstrous. They feel lonely. They feel like guardians of a realm we do not understand. Not all deep-sea creatures are giants. Many are small, fragile, almost invisible. Tiny copepods that scatter light like sparks. Shrimp that glow red, a clever trick, for red light does not penetrate this deep, making them invisible to predators. Others are nearly transparent, their bodies like glass, organs faintly outlined as though drawn in watercolor. Invisibility is a shield here. To be unseen is to be safe. But perhaps the strangest of all is the anglerfish, a small, squat creature with a mouth filled with jagged teeth, and from its head extends a stalk tipped with a glowing lure. In this perpetual night, the lure becomes irresistible bait. Small fish, attracted to the light, drift too close, and the angler strikes. Some anglerfish females are large, while the males are tiny, little more than drifting bodies that fuse themselves to the females, becoming permanent, parasitic mates. Two lives joined in a strange intimacy, one feeding, one fertilizing, surviving, together in a union dictated by scarcity. In the loneliness of the deep, even reproduction has adapted to ensure survival. Everywhere you drift, new shapes emerge. A gulper eel, its mouth vast and pouch-like, capable of swallowing prey larger than itself. A rat-tail fish with long, tapering body, gliding like a shadow. Sea cucumbers, gelatinous and soft, crawling slowly across the seafloor like travelers on an alien plane. This world is not barren. It is teeming, though in slow, careful rhythms. Each movement is measured, for energy is scarce. There are no lush meadows of kelp, no reefs bursting with color. There is only dark water, slow snow, and the fragile sparks of life, and yet it feels holy. Imagine yourself drifting among them. You are not intruding. You are simply present, floating as they float, moving as they move. There is no need for fear. The deep accepts you as it accepts everything quietly, without judgment, without hurry. The silence of the abyss allows each creature to appear like a revelation. When the anglerfish flashes its lure, it is as though a candle has been lit. In a cathedral, when the squid's eye gleams faintly, it is like a moon rising in darkness. When the jelly pulses, scattering light into rainbows, it is like stained glass catching some eternal glow. The creatures of the black are not monsters. They are stars in their own sky, constellations in a realm where there is no firmament. And as you watch them, drifting deeper, a realization unfolds. We know more about the surface of Mars than we do about these beings. We have mapped distant planets, charted alien terrain, yet most of these creatures remain unnamed, undescribed. Every dive into the deep reveals species never before recorded. Some scientists estimate that millions of species still remain undiscovered in the abyss. This, too, is why the sea remains unexplored, because it is infinite in its strangeness. every descent opening a door into a new chamber of life's imagination. The black water teaches us something about ourselves as well. We fear what we do not understand. For centuries, sailors told tales of sea serpents and leviathans, their minds filling the unseen with terrors. But when light, science, and patience reveal what lives here, the fear transforms into wonder. What once was nightmare becomes miracle. Perhaps this is true in our own lives as well. The parts of ourselves we do not wish to face, the dark corners of memory, the unspoken fears, the silence we avoid, may not hold monsters at all. Perhaps, if we drift gently into them, we would find creatures of beauty, strange and fragile, glowing softly in the dark. The abyss within and the abyss without are mirrors, both filled with hidden life, both waiting for us to see. And so we continue, drifting among them, the creatures of the black. Dragonfish, lanternfish, squid, shrimp, jellies, each a star, each a lesson, each proof that life does not end at the edge of comfort, but begins again in places we cannot imagine. Let the images linger as you breathe, slow, steady, unhurried. Each inhale, a light blooming in the dark. Each exhale, a creature gliding softly into silence. The chapter closes not with answers, but with awe. The creatures of the black remain mysteries, their lives hidden in depths we may never fully chart. But we have glimpsed them, if only in imagination. And that glimpse is enough to remind us, the ocean holds galaxies of its own. Sleep now as they drift, sleep now as they glow. Sleep and let the abyss carry you deeper into its gentle, eternal night. Chapter 4. The Limits of Exploration. The ocean is a mirror of our own ambitions, vast, enigmatic, and humbling. For all the technologies we've built, for all the maps we've drawn, and for all the boundaries we've crossed on land and in space, the deep sea remains the one frontier that continues to remind us of our limitations. Every attempt to pierce its darkness feels like a negotiation with forces far older, far stronger, and far more patient than we could ever be. It is easy to imagine exploration as a story of conquest, explorers planting flags, inventors breaking barriers, humanity charging bravely into the unknown. But when it comes to the deep ocean, exploration has been less a story of conquest than of hesitation, retreat, and profound humility. Here, at depths where sunlight never touches, the very physics of existence conspire against us. To explore is not simply to venture forward, it is to fight against the crushing hand of the earth itself, the barrier of pressure, perhaps. The greatest single limit to deep-sea exploration is pressure. It is not a metaphorical pressure, not the weight of expectation or the tension of fear, but a very literal force. The relentless squeeze of water stacked mile upon mile. At the ocean's surface, we live under the weight of a single atmosphere, a pressure so natural that our bodies never question it. But as one descends, each 10 meters adds another layer. By 100 meters, it is 10 atmospheres. By 1,000 meters, it is 100. At the floor of the Mariana Trench, nearly 11 kilometers down, the pressure reaches more than 1,000 atmospheres, the equivalent of 50 jumbo jets piled upon a single human body. No material, no technology, no living thing can ignore this truth. Steel bends, glass shatters, and human organs would rupture instantly without protection. Even the submersibles we build, those delicate bubbles of titanium and composite materials, creak like bones under strain. The deeper they descend, the more every bolt, every weld, every seam is tested. The pressure is not just a limit, it is a law. Unlike a mountain peak, which can be climbed with grit, the deep sea resists every trespass with physics itself. This is why so few vehicles have ever reached the deepest trenches, and fewer still have returned intact. Each descent is a gamble against inevitability. The tyranny of darkness, hand in hand with pressure, is another fundamental limit, the complete absence of light. The ocean swallows sunlight greedily, scattering reds and oranges until only a dim blue persists. Beyond 200 meters, even that blue vanishes. Past 1,000, there is nothing but blackness and unbroken curtain of shadow. For creatures that evolved here, this is natural. They create their own light, blinking and glowing in patterns that serve as language, camouflage, or lure. But for us, creatures of the sun, the darkness is a blindfold. Every meter of progress requires light-powerful lamps, sensitive cameras, costly sensors, and light comes at a price: heat, energy, and fragility. Worse still, the darkness is not empty. It hides things. The ocean is not static. It is alive with movement. Swarms of microscopic plankton scatter like dust in a beam of light. Particles drift endlessly, obscuring vision. What little we can see is only what we illuminate, and illumination is fleeting. The darkness beyond always waits to return. Exploration then becomes less about what is there and more about what we fail to see. For every photograph of a squid, there are 100 missed shadows. For every video of a glowing jelly, there are thousands of unseen movements just beyond the frame. The ocean's darkness is a curtain we can only pull aside in the smallest of increments. The cost of descent, but beyond the physical challenges lies a more human one: cost. Every dive into the deep sea is an undertaking of staggering expense. A single expedition can consume millions, even tens of millions, of dollars. Ships must be built or chartered, crews trained, equipment manufactured to withstand the impossible. Each descent is hours of preparation for mere minutes of observation. Unlike satellites, which can orbit for decades, submersibles are fragile. Each mission risks catastrophic failure. One wrong calculation, one faulty valve, one unnoticed crack, and the sea will claim the machine and all within it without hesitation. This is why deep-sea exploration often struggles to attract the funding that fuels space missions. Space inspires dreams of colonization, of endless expansion, of futures beyond Earth. The deep sea, by contrast, offers no promise of settlement, no romantic visions of new worlds. Its treasures are knowledge, and mystery abstract, profound, but not easily monetized. And so, while billions flow into rockets, the ocean often receives scraps. The fragility of technology, even when money is secured. Technology remains fragile in the face of the deep. Electronics corrode in salt water. Propellers tangle in drifting. Kelp, delicate sensors crack under pressure. Communication, so effortless on land or in orbit, becomes nearly impossible in water. Radio waves die within meters. GPS signals vanish beneath the surface. Submarines must drag cables or rely on slow, unreliable acoustic pulses that echo through water like ghostly whispers. It is no exaggeration to say that we know more about the surface of Mars than about the ocean floor. Mars, after all, can be mapped from orbit with lasers and cameras. But the ocean, cloaked beneath its restless skin, requires physical presence to reveal itself. And presence is what the ocean resists most fiercely. human limits, there is also the question of biology, our psychology, our frailty. Humans are not creatures of depth. We evolved to breathe air, to walk on solid ground, to see by sunlight. Place us in the deep, and we are helpless without layers of metal, plastic, and technology. Even then, our minds struggle. The darkness, the isolation, the constant creaking of a hull strained by pressure, it is a recipe for fear. Those who descend speak of the eerie stillness, the way sound seems to vanish, the way the mind begins to fill the silence with its own phantoms. Claustrophobia gnaws at even the bravest explorers. To spend hours in a steel sphere the size of a closet, cut off from the world, surrounded by crushing blackness, is an experience that few can endure. The ocean's indifference at the core of all these limits is a truth both unsettling and humbling. The ocean does not care. It is indifferent to our curiosity, indifferent to our ambition, indifferent to our survival. Mountains can be climbed because the air remains breathable. Deserts can be crossed because water can be carried. The sea, however, offers no such concessions. It is absolute in its demands. This indifference is not hostile, it is simply natural. The deep sea has existed for billions of years without us, and it will continue to exist long after us. Exploration, then, is not a right, but a fragile intrusion. Every dive is an act of audacity, a brief trespass into a world that neither needs us nor notices us. The fragile progress dot, yet, despite these limits, progress has been made. The Bathyscaphe Trieste reached the Mariana Trench in 1960, carrying Don Walsh and Jacques Piccard into the abyss. Decades later, James Cameron returned in his deep-sea Challenger, proving that exploration was still possible. Robotic vehicles now skim the ocean floor, photographing landscapes that no human eye has seen. But these victories are rare, scattered, and costly. For every descent, there are years of planning, decades of engineering, and countless failures. Progress in the deep sea is not measured in leaps, but in careful, fragile steps. Why we continue, and yet we continue. Despite the pressure, the darkness, the cost, the fragility, we return again and again. Why? Perhaps because limits do not simply repel us, they define us. Every boundary we encounter calls to something within us, something restless and unyielding. To stop at the ocean's edge would be to accept ignorance. And though the ocean resists, it also whispers. It whispers of secrets, of life unlike any other, of landscapes unseen, of answers to questions we have not yet thought to ask. The limits of exploration are real. They are heavy, humbling, and undeniable, but they are not final. For in every creak of a submersible, in every grainy image transmitted through black water, in every faint echo received by sonar, there is a reminder. The unknown is not a wall, but a horizon. And horizons, no matter how distant, have always been meant to be crossed. Chapter 5. The ocean within us. The ocean is not just outside of us. It lives within us, carried in the quiet chemistry of our blood, in the rhythm of our breath, and in the deep memory of life itself. To understand why the sea still calls us, even when so much of it remains unexplored, we must look not only at the abyss, but at ourselves. The ocean is both mirror and origin. It is where we came from, and in many ways, it is still where we belong. The great paradox of human existence is that we dream of the stars while carrying the ocean inside our veins. When biologists study the salinity of our blood plasma, they find a striking resemblance to the ancient seas in which the earliest life forms evolved. We are, in essence, moving oceans encased in skin, walking reminders of our planetary birthplace. Every heartbeat pushes waves through us. Every breath echoes the tides. To explore the deep sea, then, is to explore a hidden part of ourselves. The ancestral ocean. Life began in the ocean billions of years ago, in the chemistry of warm, mineral-rich waters. For eons, the sea was the only home for life. Cells clustered, replicated, and evolved in salt water. The first nervous systems pulsed beneath the waves. Vision, too, began here in eyes, designed to capture the faintest glimmers of sunlight filtered through blue depths. Long before feet walked on land, fins learned to swim. When early creatures finally crawled from the waves onto shore, they carried the sea within them. Their bodies had to preserve the salt balance of the water they left behind. Even now, human tears taste of salt, as if every cry is a tribute to the ocean we departed. This ancient connection explains why the sea stirs something elemental in us. Standing at a shoreline, we feel both awe and belonging. Watching waves crash is like listening to the heartbeat of our planet, a rhythm older than any civilization. The unexplored deep is not just alien terrain. It is a forgotten homeland, psychological depths. The ocean has always symbolized the unconscious in human imagination. Depth itself has been a metaphor for mystery, for what cannot be fully known. Just as divers sink into a darkness that resists illumination, we too carry inner oceans of memory, instinct, and desire. Dreams are full of water imagery, floods, tides, drowning, swimming. They mirror emotions too vast to contain, feelings that rise and fall like waves. When psychologists speak of depth psychology, they borrow language from the sea. Carl Jung called the unconscious a great ocean, filled with archetypes like whales swimming in the dark. This parallel is no accident. We sense that exploring the deep sea mirrors exploring our hidden selves. Both require courage, technology, and patience. Both reveal strange creatures we never expected. And both are endless. We never truly finish exploring the ocean outside, or the ocean within. Why we look away, but just as we hesitate to explore the deep ocean of our planet, we hesitate to explore the deeper currents of our minds. It is easier to remain on the surface where the sun shines, where the water is warm, where answers are quick and safe. To go deeper is to face pressure, silence, and strangeness. The ocean is unexplored partly because it is inhospitable, but it is also unexplored because it reflects our own discomfort with what lies beneath. Humans are drawn to mystery, but we are also afraid of it. The abyss is both invitation and warning. Consider how myths of the sea often revolve around monsters, leviathans, serpents. These are symbols not only of the ocean's dangers, but of our fear of the unknown within ourselves. To dive into the abyss is to face what we have avoided, our fragility, our mortality, our insignificance. No wonder we prefer to send rockets into the clean emptiness of space. The ocean does not promise emptiness. It promises confrontation. The ocean as teacher, yet the ocean also heals. Many people find peace simply by listening to waves or floating in salt water. The rhythm of the sea slows the nervous system, lowering stress and deepening breathing. The word thalassotherapy refers to healing from the sea, the minerals of salt water, the sound of waves, the feel of sand beneath bare feet. The ocean teaches us humility and patience. Tides cannot be rushed. Storms cannot be controlled. In the presence of the sea, human arrogance softens. We are reminded that we are small, temporary, and dependent on forces larger than ourselves. This reminder, though humbling, is strangely freeing. The ocean accepts us without demanding control. It only asks that we respect its vastness. Biology of connection. There is also a literal connection between our bodies and the ocean. The percentage of water in the human body, roughly 60%, mirrors the proportion of water covering Earth's surface. Our cells bathe in fluid whose chemistry recalls seawater. Even the electrical impulses of our brains depend on sodium, potassium, and calcium ions, minerals born in the ocean and cycled through the tides of geology. When astronauts travel into space, their bones weaken and muscles shrink without the pull of Earth's gravity. But another challenge is even stranger. They must carry a substitute for Earth's ocean inside their suits, or their bodies will collapse. This is because life is inseparable from water. Without an inner ocean, existence is impossible. Spiritual resonance. Across cultures, the sea has been sacred. In Hindu mythology, the ocean is the birthplace of cosmic nectar. In Polynesian traditions, it is the path of voyagers and ancestors. In Christianity, baptism in water is a symbol of death and rebirth. In Japanese Shinto shrines, water is used for purification. The ocean carries spiritual resonance because it embodies both creation and destruction. It gives life through rain and fish, but it can also swallow ships without mercy. In its duality, we recognize something profound about existence itself, that beauty and danger are intertwined, that life and death flow in the same tide. When we ask why the deep sea is unexplored, we might also ask why the deepest parts of ourselves remain unexplored. Perhaps the answer is the same: fear, reverence, and the recognition that some mysteries resist completion. Modern echoes, yet despite hesitation, we keep returning to the sea. Coastal cities are some of the most densely populated places on Earth. People pay to live by the water, to look at it each morning, to hear it each night. When given vacation time, many travel not to mountains or deserts, but to beaches. Something inside us seeks the horizon where ocean meets sky. In literature, the sea has been both setting and symbol. Homer's Odyssey, Melville's Moby Dick, Hemingway's The Old Man and the Sea. Each uses water to represent struggle, longing, or destiny. The unexplored sea is not just geography. It is psychology written in salt and wave. Even in modern entertainment, from films like Finding Nemo to documentaries like Blue Planet, the ocean retains its pull. The unknown does not push us away. It lures us closer. Future of exploration. As technology advances, we may finally map more of the deep ocean. Drones, autonomous submarines, and advanced sensors are beginning to go where humans cannot. Still, the process is slow. Pressure destroys machinery. Darkness hides signals. We may discover new species, new resources, even new medicines in the deep sea. But the greatest discovery may not be scientific. It may be existential, a reminder of where we come from and of how much mystery remains in the world. In an age when we think we have mapped everything, the ocean humbles us. It whispers, "You have barely begun." The ocean as mirror. Ultimately, the deep sea remains unexplored because we remain unexplored. We project our fears, our myths, and our desires onto its surface. We call it dangerous, yet we cannot stay away. We call it alien, yet it is our birthplace. When we stand at the edge of the sea, Staring into the horizon, we are looking at more than water. We are looking at time itself, at origins, at endings, at the vast unknown both outside and within. The ocean is a reminder and mirror that to be human is to carry both curiosity and fear, both longing and hesitation. And so the deep remains waiting, waiting for technology, waiting for courage, waiting for us to remember that in searching the abyss, we are not just exploring the planet. We are exploring the ocean within us, and so we come to the end of our journey through the abyss. We have walked to the edge of the unknown, staring into waters darker than space itself. We have felt the weight of unimaginable pressure and silence, where the human body could never survive, yet where life still finds a way. We have drifted among the creatures of the black, glowing in their own quiet magic, each one a reminder that life adapts even in the harshest places. We have recognized the limits of exploration, how even with all our technology, there are still boundaries we cannot easily cross. And finally, we turned inward, discovering the ocean within us, the deep connection between human life and the sea that gave us birth. The truth is simple and humbling. We know more about distant galaxies than we do about the waters on our own planet. And perhaps that is a gift. A reminder that mystery is not something to conquer, but something to honor. That wonder itself is a kind of compass, guiding us forward. So, as you lay down tonight, let your mind drift like a small vessel upon a calm ocean. The tide rises and falls, just as your breath rises and falls. The waves carry you softly, gently, further from the noise of the day. Out there, in the vast and secret dark of the ocean, life moves slowly, silently, patiently, and tonight, you, too, can rest in that same rhythm. Let the mystery hold you, let the darkness comfort you, and let sleep, like a warm tide, carry you safely to morning. Good night.